GMC is demanding luxury car prices for a product that isn't a luxury item. So it looks awesome and it's very capable, and it has a lot of the check boxes on a sheet for luxury sort of items. But this isn't a luxury car, and you can't convince me otherwise. There exists a strange phenomenon where when numbers get too large, we as human beings simply can't comprehend and fathom them in the same way as things that are more concrete and directly in front of us. If we're counting M&Ms, it's very easy to feel, okay, 8 is twice as much as 4, and then 16 is twice as much as 8. We can kind of feel how those numbers grow. But once we start getting to really, really large numbers, our brain sort of just gives up, and we don't necessarily realize how large something is becoming without really getting it drilled into us how large something is. I fear there's an element of that happening here with the GMC Yukon Denali. The Denali's always been a cool model, don't get me wrong. Ever since GMC figured out that it was a really, really smart marketing idea to kind of get this cool cachet out of this Denali sub-brand, they've been selling them like crazy, and people are willing to pay big bucks in order to get the Denali trim. And it wasn't enough. GM's added onto that, and now you've got the GMC Yukon Denali Ultimate, which is what's right in front of us here. So if the normal Denali wasn't luxurious enough, you got this Denali Ultimate. And this full-size body-on-frame SUV right here in front of us costs $100,000 as you see it spec'd. And I don't see it. It doesn't scream six figures to me, and I don't think that a lot of people who are going to sign up for payments for a car like this should be doing that. And if you watch our reviews regularly, you may have seen the Chevy Tahoe RST Performance that I reviewed a few weeks ago, and I had a totally different tune. I said, treat yourself, go out, spend the money. That was an $80,000 Chevy. So you might be thinking, all right, Charlie, I mean, gosh, you told everyone to go out and spend 80 grand. What's the difference between 80 and 100? Well, think about that for a minute. That's $20,000. What are all the things you could do with your family for $20,000? You could simply get the Tahoe, which is just about the same as everything here. All the functionality was there on the Tahoe. It still had the 6.2 liter. In fact, it made more horsepower, and in some ways actually rode better because of the larger sidewall on the tires. But you still get $20,000 in your pocket. So take a vacation, take the vehicle that you just bought and go buy some jet skis and run them around, or go on a trip around the country, take a week off from work. You see that $20,000 is a really significant chunk of change. And for most people, I don't even think they should be spending the $80,000 on the Tahoe. They should be either getting a base trim if they really need the body on frame aspect of the vehicle, or get something like the Toyota Grand Highlander that we just reviewed as well. That's $57,000. Gets better fuel economy. Still going to seat the same amount of people comfortably. And yeah, you're not going to be able to tow quite as much. But unless you are towing big weight and you don't have another vehicle to do it, you need to get everyone there. I don't see it here. But let's take a look around. Let's take a look at some of the fancy features that separate the Denali Ultimate from its Chevy and other GMC brethren. And I'll stop trying to lecture you all on how to spend your money. I do think for people where money is no option, then the Denali Ultimate starts to make a little bit more sense. But why wouldn't you just get an Escalade at that point? Because if the $20,000 jump from the Tahoe up to the Yukon's not that big of a deal for you, then why not make the other $20,000 jump and get up to the Escalade? Then you feel like you're getting a more special product. I don't see the point in buying the GMC unless you're getting the AT4 and getting some kind of like ruggedy sort of version. But taking a look inside, I mean, this is pretty standard fare, body on frame, Chevy, GMC, GM sort of SUV. In fact, you still don't even have auto up second row seats. So if I try to fold the third row, that happens. That's real quality right there. That gets caught, and that gets caught in that section. So you still have to fold down the front two seats, and then you can power these all the way down. And then you've got obviously a huge element of space here. I mean, we've transported very large things in these big GM crossovers, or not crossovers, SUVs, sorry. But again, if you're paying the extra $20,000, shouldn't get full power? Fortunately, these third row seats do come back up with power. Not really any useful underfloor storage here either. For all this space, I mean, for how huge this vehicle is and how ponderous it is to drive, you'd think you'd be getting a little bit more usable space inside. Huge amount of room in the back. Adults can sit back there comfortably. That's probably one of the biggest advantages for having something like one of these full body on frame SUVs, is the fact that adults can sit back there, or full-size teenagers or something like that. Sit back there with comfort. But, oh yeah, there we go. We got a USB-C port on each side, so that's good. And then air vents up top, as well as some lights. Lift this up, which takes a decent amount of effort. Can't really scoot that back without getting in here. Then we've got the same 12.6-inch screens that we had, again, in the Tahoe. They're not super advanced when it comes to the features. They essentially just runs YouTube and Netflix. Actually, I don't even think it has Netflix. It was just Hulu, YouTube and Hulu. So, and you do have some HDMI ports to plug in a DVD player or something like that as well. The passengers back here in this captain's chair configuration do get Type-Cs and climate controls and a fancy relief map of the Denali Mountain, you know, if that's worth the $20,000 too. Getting up into the front, you'll notice a Bose Performance Series audio system. Now this is going to be different in the Yukon Denali Ultimate than all of the other ones. This one's 18 speakers. It adds these headrest speakers. You can check out the link below for the full review. It's kind of like the rest of the car. It's good, but not amazing. It really doesn't stand out, so doesn't really justify it to me. Let me start this up, get some AC going. I will say one of the best things about this car is the 6.2 liter. That powers it. I love this engine. It's great in pretty much every product that GM puts it in. Close the pano sunroof here. And I know I've been negative for the first portion of this review, but I do quite like the car. I just like it for a lot of the reasons that I like the less expensive models as well. So I like the fact we've got physical climate controls. That's not unique to the $100,000 model. I like the 360 camera. That's something that you can get on a lower trim as well. I like the push button shifter. That's standard. I like all the places to put things, although really not the most area to put stuff here. This is all essentially wireless device charger and cup holders, but you've got your big center consoles, and then this whole thing slides back to give you even more room in there. I love the infotainment system. We've got a breakdown on that linked below. It's Android Automotive based. It's got great mapping, great voice controls, super easy to use, wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. I love the camera rear view mirror. I think that's a must-have for something in this segment, especially if you got kids in gear driving around. So I like a lot of the elements of this car. I don't like the price. I really don't. Your experience driving and owning the vehicle is not going to be reflective of a six-figure ownership experience. You're going to go and get it serviced at a GMC dealership. It's not going to be something like a BMW or Mercedes sort of experience. Going through parking lots like this and coming out, you still feel that huge body on frame rock and roll and harshness in there. You're not getting that super supple luxury SUV sort of experience. And even though this does have an air suspension, it really doesn't ride that much better than the Tahoe. GM's 10-speed transmission is really good, but it's really good as a truck transmission. You do still feel harsh, grabby lurches taking off from a stop with this vehicle. That's not something that you want to have from your luxury six-figure car experience. You shouldn't be able to feel a single shift when you're driving this thing around. One edge that General Motors does have over most of the competition is Super Cruise. This car is equipped with it, and when it's working well, you can head out on the highway and let it completely drive for you. It'll change lanes as long as you're looking at the road. It's it's a pretty seamless experience. Essentially, it feels like riding with a teenager driving the car. You're still a little nervous. It's pretty hesitant, and there are times when you feel not totally comfortable with it, but it goes through and it gets the job done. It does a pretty remarkable job. However, I will say, driving up the 405, a very clean, well-documented highway, it disabled on me 6 times in an hour-long drive earlier this week. So that was disappointing to have that happen. Usually Super Cruise is a very easy, smooth experience. I don't know what was going on with it that day. Now, don't get me wrong. For some people, a vehicle like this is absolutely going to be the best option for them. If you've got a big family, if you're carrying around a lot of people and towing a lot of things, really using the capabilities of this frame and chassis and platform and engine, yeah, I get it. The Yukon Denali Ultimate is one of the nicest ways to do those things. But you gotta treat this thing like a resource, like a tool, like an instrument. Don't treat it as simply a means of transportation, because I gotta be honest with you, there are better ways to do it. You can get a BMW X7 that has, maybe not quite as much room in the back, but a pretty good amount of space in the back still, for as much, if not a good bit less, than this Denali Ultimate. I think it starts around 87 or something like that, the X7 does, and obviously you throw in the type of equipment that you have to have in a BMW, and you're looking at 6 figures. But yeah, that one's not going to make as much power probably in whatever base trim you're getting, but it's going to provide a more rewarding and luxurious ownership and driving experience than this truck. GMC is demanding luxury car prices for a product that isn't a luxury item. So it looks awesome, and it's very capable, and it has a lot of the check boxes on a sheet for luxury sort of items. But this isn't a luxury car, and you can't convince me otherwise. If you get one of these and then you pull up at the light and an Escalade is next to you, you're going to feel like you might as well just be driving a 20-year-old Suburban. What do y'all think? Am I wrong? Is there a reason to get this over the Escalade? Because to me, I don't see it. To me, I see if you need a body-on-frame like this, and it's a resource for you, it's a tool, then stretch your dollar, go for one of the more basic trims, Elevation or something like that. And if you want one of these that's as luxurious as possible, then you step up, you get the Escalade. Denali was cool when it was just a little bit over kind of the basic truck, but oof, the price premium for this one, I don't know. I really do like it, but it's too much for me. I'm saving 20 grand and getting a lower trim. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Yukon Denali Ultimate, check the link in the description. We've got a lot of videos. I do have to say, I love GMC styling. But again, you can get these looks on a cheaper one. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, 22-inch wheels on. Or really, 6-figure price tag on.